We're going to hit the recording here. All right, this is Larry Holsey, Larry Holsey Podcast. Super excited to be on with you guys today. And we've been going through the 17 Principles of Success by Napoleon Hill. Okay, so Napoleon Hill, of course, is the author of Think and Grow Rich, one of the greatest classic books of all time on success, on how to succeed, how to build wealth. And it's an amazing book. If you've never read it, I highly recommend it. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And it's an action book. It's a book that you read and you do what it says in the book, and then you have to go back and read it again. And I've probably read it, I don't even know how many times. Start to finish, probably 4 times, but I'm always going back to it, reading certain parts, and just get so much out of it. It's such an amazing, amazing book. So for those of you guys that I haven't met, I live in Amarillo, Texas. I live here with my beautiful wife and my 4 kids. We've got 4 kids, age 20, 16, 13, and 10. And we've been in business for some time. I started my own business when I was 18 years old. At that time, I was a waiter at Red Lobster, and I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. I had all these big dreams and goals, but I had no vehicle to achieve them, and I had no idea how I was going to achieve them. And fortunately, I got introduced to a very unique business opportunity at the age of 18. I grabbed it. I ran with it. I was diligent. I worked hard. I did everything. I went for it. I just went for it, all in. And I'll tell you what happened. It was phenomenal. And a lot of the tools that I learned from this book, one of my mentors, Jim Rohn, recommended this book as one of the books for success. Okay, so he actually recommended 3 books. Okay, and those 3 books were, number 1, the Bible. Number 2, Think and Grow Rich. And number 3 was, I'm going blank here. The author is George Clason, and the book is The Richest Man in Babylon. Okay, The Richest Man in Babylon. So those were the 3 books he recommended. And it's interesting because Jim Rohn said, he was like the millionaire recommends the 3 books that made him a success. How many people, he said, I've recommended that book to millions of people over the years. Okay, if you know who Jim Rohn is, he was, the OG of personal development. Okay, and he said, how many people do you think went and got the book? His answer, very few. Very few. They couldn't be bothered because they were too interested in happy hour, too interested in Netflix, too interested in things that didn't matter, that didn't add value to their lives. And they just missed it because they didn't invest in themselves. They weren't a student. They weren't, willing to pay the price of discipline and education and learning. So opportunity passed them by. So I didn't let that happen to me. I went for it. I grabbed that book. I read it. I did it. Man, if it said stand on one foot and rub your belly and say I'm a winner, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do whatever it is. I don't care if I look dumb. I don't care if I feel dumb. I'm coachable. And so I recommend that you do the same. So anyway, so we're going to get into it today. Of course, you guys can follow me on YouTube at Larry Holsey, or any of the podcasting places. You guys will see us there as well. So also on Facebook, Instagram, it's at Larry Holsey. So anyway, so what we're going to talk about today is lesson 9. Okay, lesson 9 is self-discipline. And self-discipline is extremely important. It's extremely important if you're going to win at anything. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of read through some of his notes and I'll make comments. But I've got all of his stuff. This stuff is just such gold and such a great book. His 17 principles are such great. They're just gold. They're just totally gold. So, okay, so let's jump into here. So whenever you master self-discipline, really, if you're going to master self-discipline is kind of the bottleneck for anything that you want to achieve in life. Okay, so if you want to achieve physical health, without self-discipline, you're not going to be able to get there. No matter how big your dreams are, no matter how great your plan is, no matter how excited you are about it, if you don't have self-discipline, that's going to be the bottleneck to your greater health. Okay. Same thing with business success. If you're going for success in business and you need to do certain things, you can have the greatest dream. You can have the greatest plans. You can have the greatest coaching. You can have the greatest of everything. But without self-discipline, you will not achieve that, the goal, the desires that you have. Okay. You've got to have, this is the bottleneck for all those things. Okay. So self-discipline, it really means taking possession of your own mind. Okay. Taking possession of your own mind. Because if you can take possession of your mind, then you have a chance to take possession of your actions. Okay. But if you cannot possess your own mind, if you cannot have control of your own mind and your own thoughts, then you will never be able to control your actions, because thoughts lead to actions. Okay. All right. So whenever you master this principle of self-discipline, here's what you can expect to come in return. Okay. Your imagination will become more alert. Okay. Your enthusiasm will become more enthusiastic. You'll be more excited. Your initiative will become more active. Your self-reliance will be greater. The scope of your vision will be widened, so you'll be able to see farther and better. Not your physical vision, but your mental vision. Okay, your problems will melt away, because when you have self-discipline, man, you can just rock things out. Okay, self-discipline is so important. You'll look at the world through different eyes. Your personality will become more magnetic because of self-discipline. Okay, because you'll have more confidence in yourself. When you have more self-confidence, then you become more attractive. Okay, all right. So your hopes and your ambitions will be stronger, and your faith will be more powerful, again, because of self-discipline and confidence in yourself. Self-confidence leads to so many things, and it's really hard to have self-confidence when you don't have self-discipline. Okay. All right. So here we go. So self-discipline, like I said, it begins with the mastery of your thoughts, because thoughts lead to actions. Okay. Actions lead to habits. Habits lead to your lifestyle. Okay. They lead to your results. So the things that you can, for example, okay, in my business, I'm in the nutrition business. Okay. So when I started out in the nutrition business, I was told to take my healthy meal protein shake every day for breakfast. Okay. And have our supplements every day. Okay. And our supplements, we take them 3 times a day. So there's a self-discipline in the beginning to develop the habit of drinking that shake for breakfast, okay? Drinking that healthy meal shake for breakfast every day. So when I started out drinking it, it took self-discipline to do so, okay? So it took reminding, it took, getting up and focusing on, hey, I'm going to go drink that shake. So that took some self-discipline. But at a point now, I've been drinking that shake every day for 28 years. So now it's no longer self-discipline. Now it's complete habit. It's complete autopilot, and it does not require any self-discipline whatsoever. Okay, so people are like, well, how do you do that for so long? Well, I've just done it every day, so it's a habit. Okay, and habits are hard to break, whether they be a good habit or a bad habit. It doesn't matter. Habits are hard to break. I'll tell you another habit that I have that served me is working out. Okay, being active, being physically active. It's doesn't take a lot of self-discipline when you just work out. I'll tell you who has more self-discipline, or who has more of a habit in that area than I do, is my wife, Heather. She's at the gym every day, okay, well, at least 4 days a week. And it's like, it's just a habit. It's not really even a self-discipline for her. It's just who she is. Okay. It's a habit. It's a part of who she is. So, and that would go for anything. Okay. That goes for, I attend events to get myself better. Okay. So I attend events, and it's just a habit. Okay. It's no self-discipline involved. All right. So let's look at, controlling emotions. Okay. So Napoleon Hill lists out 14 major emotions. He's got 7 on the positive side, 7 on the negative side. Okay. So here's the positive ones. So on the positive side, he says love, sex, hope, faith, enthusiasm, loyalty, and desire. Okay, those are your positive ones. Negative emotions: fear, jealousy, hatred, revenge, greed, anger, and superstition. Okay, these would be on the negative side. So all these emotions are states of mind, and they all must be under your control, because so you got the negative emotions, of course, fear, jealousy, hatred. Obviously, those are all destructive no matter what. But, greed, anger, these can be destructive, okay? So, but the positive emotions can be destructive too if they're not under control, okay? And you guys get it. I mean, we're talking about love can be great, but it also can be out of control. Sex, obviously, great emotion within, in my belief, within marriage, okay? But if it's outside those confines, then, it can run rampant. It can be damaging. It can be bad, obviously, okay? So I guess hope could be bad if it was just based on nothing. So anyway, I won't go into every one of those details, but all right, so let's look at this. So, Napoleon Hill, he says that emotion without reason is man's greatest enemy. Okay, so how many people feel a certain way, so they act on that feeling, but that feeling is not based on any reasonable thought, okay? And that could go for fear, okay? So, for example, in business, you have to have conversations with people, okay? All business is conversation. So if you're going to do business and you're going to have conversation, then you are going to be talking to people. You're going to be talking to people, and some people are afraid to talk to people because they're afraid of rejection, or they're afraid of rejection, I guess, or something. Okay, so if you let that rule you, that's an emotion that someone could let rule you, that you could let affect your actions, which are not based on reason. Okay, so all right, so he says that both the mind and the heart need a master, and they may find such a master in the faculty of willpower. Okay, so there's four main areas that he lists that you need willpower in. The first one is appetite for food and drink. Okay, and number 2 is mental attitude. Number 3, the use of time. Number 4 is definiteness of purpose. Okay, so here's what he says about food. Obviously, if you overeat, if you eat too much bad stuff, your health isn't going to be great. Okay, and that's obvious. We all know that. Okay, so you need to have the discipline and the willpower to do the right things, like drinking my shake every morning for breakfast. Okay, that's a positive action that has kept me in good health for a long time. Okay, and here he talks about drinking. Okay, so drinking. I mean, I have a drink from time to time. Okay, but here's what he says: drinking weakens your willpower. Would you agree? Yes, it does. Okay. It changes your judgment. Okay. It changes your willpower. And he says drinking weakens your willpower, which is the one thing that should be strong when emergencies arise. Okay. So one thing I don't do is drink hardly at all when I'll have a beer here and there, a drink here and there, if my family's around. But like if we're with my kids, I'm responsible for my kids. You're not going to find me tying one on and getting crazy, getting crunk. Okay. You ain't going to find that. Okay. Because, I'm responsible for my kids, and I'm responsible to make sure they're safe and that they're taken care of. And I want to set a good example, obviously, too. Okay. So that's that. All right. The mental attitude. Okay. You got to have the willpower to control your mental attitude. So a positive mental attitude is the first and greatest of the 12 riches of life, according to Napoleon Hill here. Okay. So here's 7 of the 12 that are directly related to self-discipline. Okay. So in other words, without self-discipline, these are not things that you're going to have in any great quantity. Okay. So positive mental attitude, harmony in human relationships, man. Without self-discipline and without self-control, it's hard to have harmony in human relationships, because we can't just fly off the handle if we get offended or we get hurt or whatever. Okay. So we got to have self-discipline to have harmony in human relationships. We need to have, it leads to freedom from fear. Okay, it leads to the hope of achievement, the capacity for faith, an open mind on all subjects, and sound physical health. Okay, all right, so let's shift gears to talk about time. Okay, so the majority of people waste enough time in idle gossip to earn them all the luxuries of life. If this time were more wisely used through an organized time budget, okay, Let me repeat that. The majority of people waste enough time in idle gossip to earn them all the luxuries of life if this time were more wisely used through an organized time budget. Okay, I want to talk to you about this. A time budget. Okay, so here's what I want to challenge you to do. Something that made a big difference for me. Okay, so I'm going to give you this challenge related to your time. So I want you to keep a time log for just do it for the next 3 days. And I'd love to hear what you find out, okay? In fact, just comment if you're going to do this exercise. If you're going to keep a time log, just let me know. Just type time in the comments, okay? But here's what I want you to do. For 3 days, I want you to keep track of what you do with your time every 15 minutes for the entire day, okay? So just keep a little log. Just get a little notebook or write it in your phone notes and say you wake up at 6, okay? What'd you do from 6 to 6:15? 6:15 to 6:30, 6:30 to 6:45, 6:45 to 7, and do that for the entire day. Do it for 3 days, okay? So you can just have, hey, I slept from midnight to 6 a.m., 6 to 6:15. I got up, brushed my teeth, 6:15 to 6:30, had my shake, had breakfast, had my, had whatever, 6:30 to 7, read my Bible, 7 to 7. Just keep track of what is happening on 15-minute increments, okay? And if you're doing things for longer, obviously you don't need to, break it down. If you did something for an hour, just write down what you did for that hour, okay? So do this. So when I did this, here's what I found. I was wasting tremendous amounts of time on meaningless things, okay? And man, today more than ever, dude, it is so easy. Fire up that phone, okay? You fire up that phone and you start to scroll, and dude, you can burn an hour like that. You can burn 30 minutes like that. You can do that 4 or 5 times a day. So anyway, give that a try, and that'll help you with organizing your time, at least being aware of, man, where am I screwing up with my time? Because a lot of people are like, oh man, I don't have time. But guess what? The rich and the poor have the same amount of time, okay? The poor guy and the billionaire have 24 hours a day. They don't give 30 hours a day to billionaires. No, they're more effective with their time. They get more done in less time. So that's a big area that you want to focus on if you want to be more productive. All right, cool. So, all right, let's see here. Okay, so listen, I think that's good on self-discipline. I think that's a great starter on self-discipline, because what can you do except just do it? Okay, really, self-discipline is one of those things that you just have to do. It's hard to be taught how to have self-discipline. You just have to develop it. It's a muscle, okay? So start with your time log, and I would go from there. But listen, every new self-discipline that you create, every positive self-discipline that you create is going to lead to another. Okay, so if you have a good habit, you create a good habit, it's going to affect everything else, and it's going to help you create another good habit. Okay, it's very, very, they do have an effect on the rest of your life. Everything affects everything. Okay, and same thing with a bad habit. So I recommend implement some good habits, replace some of your bad habits with some good habits. So let's go for it. Okay, listen, hope you guys have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Please do follow us. Hit like, subscribe, comment.